Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Jurassic podcast. Um, just a quick one. This is your one and only spoiler warning. This will contain spoilers about season 4 of Jurassic World Chaos Theory. So if you haven't seen that already, go back and watch it. It's got 9 episodes, so go back and watch them, and then you can tune in on this. Where we're gonna be discussing it. Yeah, so if you haven't watched my previous Jurassic podcast video, pretty much this is just a podcast series where we discuss everything Jurassic related. And in this one we'll be discussing the last and the newest and last season of Chaos Theory. So there's your spoiler warning, and let's get straight into it. So I'm gonna start with kind of my overall summary of it in terms of the 9 episodes as one season. In terms of one season, I thought it was great. I thought season 3 ended nicely linking in with Dominion. It obviously had the Malta scene, season 3 did, and it linked then nicely into the Bison Valley. So this season had the Bison Valley, and it explored all of that. So we got, and I loved how the whole of the season we saw it from a different angle. It didn't include any of the Dominion cast, which I thought was great because I mean it can obviously Dodson, but that was and Wu, but that was it. But like the main cast, they weren't in it, so it created another perspective, which was nice. So there's kind of a couple storylines which I thought were keen. I thought there was the Brooklyn reuniting with the rest of the campers. There was obviously the Sammy and Yaz bit. Obviously, that was a relationship they wanted for him, but obviously, and obviously the Bumpy and Smoothie one, that was adorable. I'll get into that later, but obviously the main storyline, which anyone who's watched it and is specifically looking for my reaction knows, that Ben storyline was probably the most fun. So we'll get into that last. So I think Chaos Theory as a show is about an 8 out of 10. Which I think is great. The season is my order of ranking in the seasons currently is 1, 4, 2, and then 3. No, 3 then 2. 2 wasn't my favorite. If I have to be honest, it was kind of just dragged out. But this was a great season, and I would say I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. Season 1, 9 out of 10. Then I'd say 7, and then I'd say 6 personally. So yeah, so I'm gonna go through each of the storylines, kind of give you a rundown. So we see already, there was a nice cinematic shot of the campers arriving by the Bison helicopter, which I thought was great. Only 4 of them actually, which I thought was great because it was the same route that they took in Dominion, but from a different angle, and you saw the Quetzalcoatlus, and that was a funny interaction. Like it was a short one, but quite good. And you also saw a couple Brachiosaurus, which I thought was quite cool because we only saw Dreadnoughtus and we didn't see any of the other sauropods. So I thought to see the Brachiosaurus, and I mean Brachiosaurus throughout the whole Jurassic franchise has been one of the. I mean, apart from T-Rex, I'd say another one of the icons. It's kind of the logo base of it. So I thought that was great, and then you kind of see them trying to explore Bison, and it's really funny because they think there's going to be a whole like crowd of people, but there's not. And obviously that's how they get in. And then there's also this nice side. You then also see on the other side, Kenji and Sammy. They're trying to fight for Bumpy, and they have this whole interaction with Lewis Dodge and Kenji does, and it's quite cool. That kind of goes on, and there's a whole bit about that, but I'm not going to like give you a entire rundown of all the episodes because I'll drag on. But then, as the seasons go, we see them all mingling. I mean, eventually, the 4 campers who were together, they all find Wu and they talk to Wu, and there's that interaction, which I thought was great because you kind of have a vulnerable side similar to Dominion that you don't see in the rest of the franchise, which I thought was again very very good. Then you see them all meet in the valley because Sammy and Kenji, they got double crossed by Dodson. So you see them all meet up, and there's a tension. There's a very obvious tension between them, and the rest of the interaction is them all forgiving them. I mean, Kenji is the first to forgive. Obviously, there's a lot of tension between her and Daria. I mean, Yaz and Ben were quite quick to forgive. And then it's Sammy and Darius who took the most convincing. So throughout the series, you can see the series season, you can see that relationship mending and evolving, and it's great. Obviously, what was the other key mention there? Sammy and Yaz, obviously, in season 3, them two split up, which was, not expecting that. I mean, I watched the interviews with the cast, and they did say that was a dynamic there that was shifting, and that was it. But it was nice to see that in the end, they made up, and they realized they were stronger together, which was just adorable. And obviously, Smoothie and Bumpy. Obviously, Bumpy's been since Camp Cretaceous season 1, and to see Smoothie was quite cute. And obviously, one of the main drivers for season 4 is the fact that they want to find Bumpy and get Bumpy out of Biosyn. So it's quite a nice thing, and you see them reunite, and it's really cute because first Bumpy doesn't know who Smoothie is, and I mean it's just adorable and Amika's, and they're if you've watched Dominion, and I presume you've watched Chaos Theory at this point, you'll see them herding into the valley, and you see Smoothie jump on Bumpy's head, and it's adorable. And there's that, and in the end, Bumpy, Smoothie, and then whoever the father is, they're all together, and it's like a cute little family there, which is very adorable. And then you finally, the fourth storyline is obviously the Ben storyline, which gets tense. I mean, halfway through the season, he gets badly injured, and it does not look great for him. I mean, throughout the rest of the season, it does look like he is gone. And I mean, at one point, they make it look like he has gone. But I mean, he does survive. I mean, that whole tension around it, like him struggling. I mean, at one point, it looked like Kenji'd sacrifice and stuff, which was great, but obviously didn't. Thought that was great. And there was obviously a lot with it. I mean, at one point, he basically did, and then you learn when and obviously it's shift once they've got Bumpy there, and their whole goal is to get out, and get Ben to safety. So you kind of see them struggling for options. At one point, you see them try to get the helicopter, but obviously the original cast, they've all taken the helicopter, which is funny. You also saw a different angle of the Dilophosaurus. Sorry for a side note, but yeah, the Dilophosaurus, you got to see a different side note of that. I'll come back to the dinosaurs after I finish this. Obviously, you see them, and then they try to find the car. You get to see a bunch of thrilling chases in the car, and eventually they get into the helicopter. And they said, literally, the medics there said it's not looking good. But they went to the hospital, and you learned that Ben died on the operating table and got brought back, which is so funny. Because, yeah. And I'm going to come back to the final scene. I'm going to talk about the dinosaurs now. So those are the 4 storylines. And they're all good. I mean, I think it was the mix between them. Like, those ones were constantly weaving in and out of the storylines, and in and out, and it created a really nice effect. But now, the dinosaurs were a good one. We obviously saw the T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus together quite a lot. That was good. It was funny, you saw the Giganotosaurus bite down on the research tower ladder, the same it did to Maisie on, I think it was Yaz. Yeah. And I thought that was good symmetry. And you also saw quite a lot of that with the Giganotosaurus and the T-Rex. You saw them fighting, and at one point you see the T-Rex actually beat the Giganotosaurus, not kill it, but beat it. Which I found quite funny, because obviously in Dominion they showed the Giganotosaurus power. There was a return of the Quetzalcoatlus. Obviously, you saw it in the sky, but you also saw it pick up the car and drop it. That was a cool scene. That whole Quetzalcoatlus trying to get into the tower was quite cool. Obviously, Dilophosaurus returned. That was a good one. They were very good in that. They were occurring species. I think they were most of the show. You saw Dilophosaurus, and it showed when they get into the. It shows how they got into the pipelines, and it showed the Dilophosaurus all and how they got dogged just on the other side of getting dodged, which was also quite cool. Obviously, you saw the Therizinosaurus, which I don't want to say that it was probably one of the negatives. I feel like the Therizinosaurus was wasted. You do see how it got to the valley, and you do see bits of it. It just wasn't used that much, which was a shame because I also thought in Dominion it was wasted. I feel like they've had the Therizinosaurus twice, and both times they've wasted it. So this is a negative, I think, of my views. And obviously, a character returning from season 2, I think it was. Yep, a character returning from season 2, Ernest, who is funny. He is one of those comic relief characters who you just fall in love with because it's their oblivious comedy which just makes you laugh and smile. And I thought his character is great. And you saw him again, kind of wrapped off his story because his story wasn't done. You could tell when Brooklyn left him on the boat, you could tell that that story was not done. And it was great. Yeah, so, what is there else to talk about? Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back for round 2 of the podcast. Okay, so I said welcome back, but obviously for you guys it's been not even a second between these clips. But I'm back, and in this bit I'm going to just talk about a few things that were unanswered in Dominion, and a few things that were now answered in this. So one of the things we see in Dominion is that all the dinosaurs get herded back to the compound. They're not in the valley, they're in the compound. But you see the T-Rex and you see the Giganotosaurus and Therizinosaurus. You see the 3 large carnivores and theropods all in the middle of it. And you're like, okay, so where's everyone else? And you learn that they've all gone inside, obviously the Biosyn headquarters in a circle, and you see they've actually gone inside the building, and it shows you them all going in and there. So you actually get that explained, which I think is quite cool. Because obviously you don't see them, you kind of just see them get led into there and they go, and you only see 3 of them in there, so that answers that question. And another thing that's answered is obviously the 3 Tyrannosaurus Rexes. If you remember at the end of it, you see Rexy reunited with 2 other T-Rexes, which haven't been confirmed, but I am 90% sure it's probably going to be Big and Little E.T. from Camp Cretaceous, and obviously from Jurassic Park 2. Yes, 2. So they're probably the returning ones from that, and you see basically this showdown between the Triceratops and T-Rex. Oh my god, a Triceratops! Oh, okay, I'll finish T-Rex and then I'll go to a Triceratops. And you see the 2 other T-Rex helping to fend off the Rexy against the Triceratops. So you see the 3 T-Rex working together to get rid of the pack of the Triceratops. Now, Triceratops were a very important thing in Dominion, and they were a key thing in the early stages of Chaos Theory. It was the Triceratops have been everyone, and they've been key because obviously it's the whistle and the laser pointing. It's been able to control the Triceratops, and there's a really tense, like almost terrifying scene where you see the Triceratops learning and working against the scientists who are researching on them, and you eventually see them eat the scientists. But you see how they're learning, working together, and it is very incredible. You see a greeny yellowy one, which I think is quite cool, different skin tones. Yeah, it was quite sad because you could see obviously how you saw the 3 Atrociraptors in the 3, I think, one each, I can't remember which one, but you see the 3 in season 3, and that squad gets an ending, those Atrocirators, but you also see that biosin wasn't done with the Velociraptors. So that nicely rounds that off, and you see actually the Velociraptors are still being there, and eventually the whole theropod project, like I think it's the theropod control advancement. Anyway, weaponization, I think it is maybe. You see that whole Velociraptor and theropod project get scrapped, and you see that they've stopped working on it, and that kind of gets put back in the past because obviously they brought back living species and they're exploiting them, which is terrible. So it's nice that we see a resolved ending to that. And I think all the Velociraptors, kind of the crazy ones that they've bred and trained, I think you see them all go. So there. I think the final thing I want to talk about on this Jurassic podcast is the cleanup crew. It's really nice. When they've obviously Benz and Kenji, they've gone off in their air ambulance, and you see Brooklyn and Yasmina, Darius, and Sammy helping a cleanup crew, because basically there's a cleanup crew which are going in, I think they're an NGO, and they're going in to the valley to give medical attention to the dinosaurs, because obviously fiery locusts in a fiery wasteland was just blazed upon them. So they go there and they release the dinos, they rescue them, and it's very nice to see that the people are not exploiting them and they're just letting them live. Because obviously at the ending of Dominion, you saw Maisie Charlotte with speech about coexistence, and you also see a bit about that, and obviously you see that they've left Biosin Valley a sanctuary. So it's nice that you see that Darius and the team, they helped turn it into the sanctuary, which I think is a lovely end to kind of that part, because obviously Rebirth was quite a shift from Dominion and the rest of the World Series. So it's quite nice that obviously this could be a continuation on after Rebirth, which continues that storyline. So I thought Chaos Theory has, and especially season 4, has kind of closed the Jurassic World chapter and kind of made us all more ready for the Rebirth chapter. So yeah, those are my reviews. Obviously, I've told you my rating, enjoyment. I've kind of gone through it, kind of storylines, which bits are good, which bad. Like you said, there were only a couple negatives for me. I remember, I know a lot of people have thought that the Chaos Theory and the Camp Cretaceous were quite cheesy, and people thought it was a bit like, oh, family, friend, united. But I think, and I know people didn't want to watch the show, and they say it's a kid show, but I think Netflix and Universal have done a great job at doing justice to the World franchise. Made it necessarily a younger audience. I mean, it's animated, so one could argue, and yeah, it's animated, so people immediately think it's that. But Chaos Theory and has reminded us that it's not kids, and it's actually great. And yeah, it may focus on family, but that's not cheesy. It's true, and I think it is a good perception change, because as much as it's about dinosaurs in there, there's a lesson there. I want to thank you all for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the background watching a couple of that. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this Jurassic podcast. Obviously, there'll be another couple coming up. I'm going to aim to do this for all of the Chaos Theory episodes, all of the Camp Cretaceous episodes, and all the current world movies and part movies. So this is a long one. So this is only episode 2. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later.